you guys are missing this was a fundraiser I did for Steve, or we did for Steve, help him pay on his trailer. So this is a milkshake, or a shake made of Wendy's burger, fries, Coke, and 2 night crawlers that we blended together.
I was reaching right for the night crawler.
But then the night crawlers weren't the bad part. It was a stinky burger. See if you can see where I'm getting. Ready? Right there. Enough of that. Alright, while we're waiting for it, see if anybody else comes. Does everybody have a handout? Okay. We got some candy up here. Dollar Ranch, you guys can have some other one. Have more than one, we can have it. Grab as much as you want. Take what you want. There you go. Good job. Look at you, one of my favorite videos that we use in a lot of our stuff, especially when we're talking about training, and I think you guys will like this. This is a good training video to watch. Okay, we talk to our kids all the time about serving the Lord and reading your Bible, stuff like that. Talk to them about brushing their teeth and eating the right thing. Well, this video is about training and how to eat the right way. I don't know if you've seen this, but I think you'll enjoy it.
Such a feeling's coming over me. There is wonder in most everything that I see. Not a cloud in the sky, got the if it's a dream. I'm on top of the world. This is the end. Beautiful friend. This is the end. My only friend. The end of all the elaborate lies.
Alright, my name's Jarrod Amyx, and I am the children's pastor at Bible Baptist Church in Mount Vernon, Kentucky. And it's a pleasure for me to be here. What an honor it is to be able to come and speak at, in a teacher training type of session, especially with folks that are out trying to do the same things that I'm trying to do. The great part about being in a conference like this is that we're all here with the same goal in mind, and that's to reach kids for Christ. Our class today is going to be on how to use your children's ministry events to reach out to your community. One of the things that I did to get into ministry, I get asked this all the time. How did a guy, former, Army field artillery guy, how did you get into children's ministry? A lot of my friends, when I tell them what I do now, they laugh. They will literally laugh at me because they think that I'm joking. And what they don't realize is that, God gives us all special talents. The Bible says that He created us to do His good work. That means everybody's got a special talent. Well, my special talent just happens to be games. I love games. I didn't realize that was a talent, but, anything that you love to do, I think is a talent that you do well. But I play games a lot, and that's what got me into ministry. Kids just like to follow me around when I would play games at our events and things like that. If we had a homecoming, I like to go out to the field next to where we were doing the food stuff and kick a kickball or throw a baseball or something like that, and kids just always seem to hang out. Well, I started making games out of it and not even meaning to do anything special with it, and the next thing I know, I get involved in a not children's ministry, but a Experiencing God class. I don't know if anybody's ever taken an Experiencing God class. Well, if you do, prepare yourself, because you will experience God. He will speak to you. And this was one of the ways that He spoke to me to get me involved in children's ministry. My wife had already been doing children's ministry, and I was one of these guys that, well, I'll let my wife do it, but I'm too cool for kids. I didn't have the patience for it. But her helper got sick and had to have surgery, and so she asked me to fill in for her helper one day. I didn't want to, but I did, and I did the game that day, and the kids loved it. So I had to do it for like a couple months with her, and by that following year, I was still in that doing the same thing. Now I was teaching the class and doing the game. And a year after that, even though she was listed as the teacher, I've pretty much taken over, and she was there as the support. So, and it wasn't too much longer after that, because of the Experiencing God class, that I realized that was what God was calling me to do. And through that, the very first thing that we ever did, and this was something that was deep in our heart, our church really never went out into the public and did things. Even though our church sits on a hill that overlooks Mount Vernon, it's a small community. It's not large. We consider Somerset to be a big city. And this little community right here would be a big city to us, but there's only probably about 16,000 people in the entire county. And but Mount Vernon is the heartbeat of our county. And so all the other churches were doing stuff in their festivals and doing the parade stuff, and they would have a float or a booth set up, and we had nothing. And so my wife, that was a real sore spot for her. So the first thing we did was take a VBS that following fall, and during one of the fall parades, we got into it with, I think it was Sun Harvest from Gospel Life. Dressed the kids up in these little fruit costumes, and they were the fruit of the Spirit. Rolled them through town on a hay wagon, and it was one of the greatest things that we'd ever done. It brought a lot of attention to our church. It brought a lot of attention to our ministry, and from there, God took off with it. And so we just happened to be along for the ride. But God has used us ever since. But this morning, or excuse me, this afternoon, I'm going to play a game with you. Because I'm a guy who believes in games, and I believe in prizes. So I have a prize. So let me ask you this. I'm going to pick one of you all. And the easiest way I can do this is, anybody born in the month of October in here? Okay. How about, let's see, my wife was born in February. Anybody in February? Yes! Anybody else? All right, come on up. All right, this is great. Let's give her a big hand. A big hand, come on. Thought you were just going to be able to sit. No, not mine. I believe in 100% participation. How, what's your name and where are you from?
Holland from Somerset, Kentucky.
All right, she's from Somerset, the big city. Woo! Give her a big hand. All right, now I had somebody else in here this morning that was making fun of my accent. And little do they know, because of making fun of me, I got to bring them up here for our game. So here's what we're going to do. What'd you say your name was?
Coca.
Coca?
Yes.
All right, Coca, that's a great name. All right, Coca, here's what we're going to do. I work at Walmart. And I get to play with all the fun stuff at Walmart. And so kids love the toy section at Walmart. This is one of the good fun games that you guys can purchase to have all kinds of fun with. And Coca, I'm going to give you a minute. It's just like the game Minute to Win It. There are 30 balls laying here on the ground. All you have to do, take a little clamp, grab it, stick it in there. If you can do that in 1 minute, I have a prize for you. You guys think that you can do it? Come on, where's the encouragement? There you go. Now, while we're doing this, I want you guys to cheer for her, okay? Put 1 minute on the clock. I'll give you pockets and pop it up.
I have one of these at home.
All right, just 1 minute. Ready? In 3, 2, 1, go. Come Nobody, just seems like nobody can do it with a timer behind their back. Always the time concept is there, so they have a hard time. All right, let's get started. Now, I will give you this. If any of you don't have timers and things like this right here was free. All you have to do is go to the website and download it. A lot of churches have gymnasiums. They can't afford a $12,000 scoreboard. So this company, Zen Basketball, created this for churches. And all you have to do is go to www.zenbasketball.com, and it comes with, and you get that. All you have to do is download it for free. They do it for churches. It comes with a timer, keep score. Got a nice little buzzer. You got a little minute timeout, little deal right here, and you keep track of fouls or whatever. It's a really neat deal. It's a good tool to have. ZenBasketball.com. It's in your, it is in your resource. So. All right. I got it on your resource page in the back, so if you wrote it down. The ministry that we serve in, we named Kids for Christ. 7 years ago, when we started this ministry, we wanted it to be big in our county. A lot of churches didn't have children's ministry, but they had great youth ministries. And always the kids seemed to get left out. They talked about it last night a little bit, I think. How easy it is to have a kid tugging on your pant leg or on your arm or something, and you might be in the middle of a conversation, or you just ignore them completely because they're a kid and you don't think that they know as much as you do. But kids are little people. My doctor tells me this all the time. You know, when my son gets sick, kids are little people too. You know, when they're hungry, and when they're sick, they're sick. And so they have feelings too. Kids are more, I think, more honest and open than adults, and they will let you know all you need to know. But there's a lot of love, and especially in everybody's community where kids are involved, and it shouldn't just be held up in your church. It shouldn't just be for your church kids. We did a lesson just this past week about reaching out and sharing your talent. And not holding back like the farmer did with the grain, how he welled up his barns full of grain and then God caught him a fool. You know, we have this talent that God has given each and every one of us. Even then, like Joel Osteen says, even if you can smile, it's a talent, because it can brighten up somebody else's day. If you got arms, you can hug somebody and that can help them out, encourage them at least. And so that can be a talent. Well, you know, there's a lot of people in our churches that have talents, and we need to reach out to our communities through these events. Now, I'm talking about special events, but the only way you get outside of your special event is if you do something about it. We've all been in churches. We've all, you know, most of us have sat in a service before where the preacher has spoken and the Lord has actually stirred our heart, and we wanted to do that. We could say to ourselves, man, I can do this. You know, he's right. I can get out and do something like that. We heard Brother Steve talking last night. Some of the folks talking this morning. We saw the one team. We saw the E team and the Soul Patrol out there. You know, they did something about an idea that they had. But the first thing is doing something about it. James 1:22 says, be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourself. Well, a lot of times I tell the kids, you know, what are you, a hearer or a doer? Because like in our first class this morning, I shared with them, and you can hear everything that I have to say, and you can agree with it. But if you're not going to do anything about it, then it's pointless. It's wasted oxygen and wasted time. And time is the most valuable thing that you have to offer, because you can't ever get it back. So if you have ideas, you need to share it. You need to do something about it. Put feet to your thoughts. In my vehicles, I carry notebooks because I'm a forgetter. I forgot most of the notes that I was supposed to bring with me. And Steve, luckily, I had sent my stuff on to him as a backup, and he had to print a bunch of stuff off for me this morning. But because I left, so I actually left my laptop and had to turn around and go back and get it. But I carry notebooks with me, and anytime I get ideas or I see something that gives me an idea, I jot it down, and then I try to put it to action. But I have notebooks, I kid you not, notebooks of ideas that have not ever been used. You know, games that I just tried to think up on my own, or things that I could do different. But we're talking about reaching out to the community, and it's different. It's different from what you got in your church, especially just regular kids who know you already. The community probably doesn't know you at all until you actually get out there and do something with it. So if you got to do something, you might as well do it. Number one, reaching out to your community. What does it do? It builds a relationship between you and them. I mean, nobody's going to trust anything you have to say if they don't know who you are. I used to hear this at work a lot. People would say, oh, it's not who you know, or it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, in a lot of ways that's true, because if people don't know who you are, then how do they expect to trust you? I mean, just taking your word for it, a lot of people have been taken before. A lot of people have been lied to. And so if you're not going to be out there and show people that you practice what you preach, then how are they ever going to trust you? So you build a relationship by being out in your community and letting them see who you are anyway, especially your children's ministry. If you remember last night, you talked about Stephen in the color guard. This is us getting prepared for a parade where we march through the parade. They actually led our float. There are 16 kids in our color guard. They all learned the routine just like you would see at a high school where they're out there with the band. They do that stuff. They throw the flags and twirl them, and they actually have rifles now, and they have sabers that they twirl. and it's really cool. But we let them see who we are, and we come out through there so that they can start, things will start rolling in their mind. There's, that people will be saying, there's really something like that out there for kids. This is great. It allows you to share the gospel with them. A lot of the booths that we set up at maybe a Relay for Life or a festival in town, or if we go to the hospitals and do certain things with some of the resident patients, we always bring gospel material with us, and a lot of it gears towards kids, because even adults can look at like those funny money tracks. You see something laying on the ground, you see a 20, and of course I love these things. You can have so much pranky fun with them, but I'll throw them down at Walmart because they look so real. And you'll see somebody walk by, they'll go, they'll walk around it for a little bit, they'll look at it, trying to scan it out to see if it's real money, and then they'll pick it up, and when they open it and see it's a track, they almost always get frustrated about it. But it's fun because kids love that stuff. That kid sees what looks like a $5 bill, and they make something look pretty real now. Fold up, laying on the ground, man, they'll dive on it. And so it's so much fun for them to play around with something like that. But in the long run, even though they're playing around with it, they're probably going to read it. And if not, you leave something like that, and I know this is probably gross to hear, but leave something like that in a bathroom, people will read anything in the bathroom. They'll read the walls, they'll read anything. You leave stuff like that laying anywhere. But you get people coming to your booth, or you get people coming to your ministry, and you can share the gospel with them. But they got to see you, and you got to be out there in order for them to trust you, for that to happen. Number 2, planning ahead and organizing. Everybody has something that they do throughout the year, almost always. It's automatic in your church that you're going to do with kids, like an Easter egg hunt, maybe a fall festival or trunk or treat, like a Halloween alternative. Usually kids will do a Christmas play or something like that. It's almost automatic. So those kind of things you write down that you can actually make into community events, even if you're not using them. Because you can put that out in the newspaper somewhere or on your local radio station, and they'll do that, especially if you know people or if you take something to them and you build rapport with them. Our local radio station in town, I take t-shirts to them and give them to them, or I'll take Halloween candy up to them at Halloween whenever I want them to do something for me, and they never charge me because I bring them a gift. I come bearing gifts, and not always will they expect it. Now sometimes I do have to pay, but it's only if it's big. So I plan out my schedule, my yearly calendar, and then I find out what the local events are in my town or in my county. Now I'm from Rockcastle County, Kentucky, so we're a big football county, and there's a whole lot to compete with football. But everybody on Friday nights when there's a home game is at the Rockcastle County football field. I mean, there will be thousands of people down there. And like you saw last night for that brief little clip, we got to perform with our color guard. Now, they didn't share the gospel with anybody, but they were down there enough for people to say, "Who is that?" And they were down there performing with them during the fight song during the homecoming, or the halftime part of the homecoming. And so we find out what the local events are, and we try to invade in there. Get our name out there. Bring our banner with us so people see who we are. The next thing is we stick to the plans that we plan. All right, write it on a calendar, stick to it. Rise and shine till lights out. Don't change what you do. Because it's just like with Steve. If he planned up this whole week, and he's got all these classes and stuff planned up, and what would it be like for you all as students this week, basically, to come in here and then everything be flip-flopped around? It would just be confusing, and you probably wouldn't get a lot out of it. Now, if you don't think the devil ain't in that, I promise you he is. Because he doesn't want you to come in here and learn anything. He can mess with it somewhere or another, he will. I promise you, he's here just as much, or probably harder, trying to destroy what you're doing this week for your kids than what you realize. So, stick to your plans. Don't change them, unless it's an emergency. Try to put that. Staffing. This is huge right here. Enlist the help of your church. There are so many people that are in your churches that do nothing. They come in on Sunday morning, they sit down in a pew, They will put money in an offering, they'll sing the songs, they'll praise the Lord, but they won't do anything beyond that, and they want to. They're just afraid to. So, what do you do when that comes back? Some people are not going to sign up on a sign-up sheet. They're just not ever going to do it. Because they always assume somebody else is going to sign up. Well, they won't use me, or I'm too old, or I'm too young, or I'm not feeling good, and I might not be able to handle it. Well, you know what? I thought and I assume that the gospel says that that we're to do God's work until the day of Jesus Christ. Now I'm paraphrasing that verse, but when is it that you're too old to serve the Lord? When is it that you're too young? When is it that you're too sick or whatever? I can't imagine that. So people who get in that mindset, this is where they have to see us doing what we do so they can change. So enlist the help of your church. Go to that person you never go to and say, I really need your help. Next thing, use the adults, the parents, the grandparents, and the teenagers in your church. Teenagers, you want your teenagers to get involved? Man, teenagers want to come to this stuff anyway. They want to be a part of it because they want to play it. But don't let them. Let them come and work it and then give them a prize or give them a reward later. But let them realize what it's for. And I promise you, they will come and they will stay. Our teenagers in our church, that's who I enlist the most of my help from. Now, a lot of them came up out of our ministry and they know what we're about. So they love to jump in and help. But you also have the parents of the kids that are going to be there. The grandparents that come and watch. You can get them to help. I promise you, they'll work. Then this is the most important part of staffing. Recruiting volunteers that model God's character. In every church, you're going to have people that are going to be just like you, who are exciting, who are outgoing, who like to do things with kids. But then you've got some people, like they talked about this morning, they're grumpy. They have the ugly face in the morning, and they're not going to laugh even if you take them a laughing sticker. They're not going to smile at all because they're set in their way, and it's going to take God to change them. That's not the person you probably want to enlist as a helper for your ministry, because they don't really speak about your ministry. And if they do come in and help you, what kind of message are they sending with their grumpy face? So when you recruit helpers, make sure it's somebody who can do it. And if you're doing fun games, that loves to have fun with games, who loves kids. Because you don't want somebody in there who's going to be a rules guy. You know what I'm saying? When I say rules guy, somebody who's going to, hey, no running in the hallway, no marking on the walls, no having too much fun and laughing outside. You don't want that. It's like a video I seen one time. This lady, she wanted her kids to sing big and loud, and she wanted them to sing the song Jesus Loves Me. And it was a second grade class, and they're like, Jesus loves me. And this one kid, he couldn't really sing that good, and he was blaring it out. And she was shushing him. She's like, shh, the whole time, the whole video. And it was, not that she wasn't doing a good job, it was that she was quieting them from their worship because he couldn't sing as well. See, now that's not the kind of person that you want to help you do ministry work when you're trying to reach out to somebody, because they're not reaching out in a positive way, kind of negative. But the more they hang out with you, the better example you'll be on them. So always recruit the right kind of help. And you're going to run into lukewarm people. That's everywhere. Look, sometimes you're going to have lukewarm people to help you in your ministry, just like you'll have to have people who are on fire. Because sometimes you don't have people who are on fire, and the lukewarm, you have to kind of bring them along. But sometimes you have to use that. Now I put this in here, advertise. A lot of people have told me in the past that I bribe kids to come to church. Well, you know what? I do. I absolutely bribe them as much as I possibly can. 1 Corinthians 9:22, Paul said, when I'm with the weak, I become weak, so that I can bring them to Christ. I'm all things to all men, so that some might be saved. He didn't say that all would be saved, because he already knew the truth of that. He said, I'm all things to all men, so that some will be saved. Well, I do what I got to do to bring kids to Christ. Now, all my job is to bring them in and plant the seed. The rest of it's up to God. So if I can get them in the door where they can hear the truth, they can hear the gospel, then I've done my job. I've done my part that God expects of me. So the best way to advertise for me, and that I can share with you guys, use your church bulletin. Some of you probably already do this. I don't know if your church might not have a bulletin, but you might have a bulletin board. Your church might have a website. If you have all these things, use it. when you're doing an event like this one, for instance, was a fundraiser for camp. Our kids, for the last 2 years, we went to Mountain View Baptist Camp in Monticello. That Steve does our camp. You know, it's $135. I think it's $140 this year. Yeah, that's a lot of money. For some of these families don't have it. And before, our church would pay whatever, pay the cost. But you know, we had kids that were coming, would come last minute. They didn't really do all that much to be involved. So we thought, how could they get involved? Well, I remember something my dad told me when he was alive. He would say, Jarrod, people respect the thing that they earn the most. So if they earn something, you respect it. It's like when you rent a car from Enterprise. How many of y'all respect that vehicle when you rent a car? I don't. I mean, I'm driving it faster than I normally would my vehicle. I don't care to hit the pothole that's in the road. With my vehicle, I will be very careful with it. You know, I know that's bad to say, but it's been done. So you want these kids to earn what they have so they respect it more. They'll go to it with a better outlet. So, for instance, this was a fundraiser for them to earn their way to camp. And for the last 2 years, our church has not paid 1 cent for kids to go to camp. They've all earned their way to camp. And then some of them actually worked so much that they helped others pay their way to camp. So we got them out. We got it in the newspaper. We got it on the radio. We got it on Facebook. And we would just tell people, you know, we're having these fundraisers or we're having this event. Please come. Enlist your church members to make phone calls. Most of your churches will have a church registry. And like if I'm doing something, even this morning I called my mom to talk to her about, you know, some kind of baseball practice my son had to be at today. But my mom, I call her and she will get the ball rolling on anything. And she will tell all these other people, you need to call, you need to come, you need to call this person, call everybody you know. And so the ball gets rolling there. So if you call your church members and say, hey, we're having an event this week or today or whatever, call everybody you know and come down here. We need to get these kids to camp, help pay their way to camp, whatever. And then last year when I called the radio station, our local radio station, I called that morning right before we got everything started to let them know if he would announce it that morning during their swap shop time, what they call. And he had me live on the radio. He thought I was calling in to one of the questions he had asked. And I just turned on the radio. I didn't know that's what was going on. So I was live on the radio. And he's like, tell us a little bit about it. So I got to share with all of Rockcastle County that morning. And you know what? We made $1,500 that morning in 3 hours. 3 hours. And that right there paid for almost every kid to go to camp. So advertise your ministry. Advertise your event. Make your event fun and active. This is our church gymnasium. We just got into it in March. I understand not everybody has this kind of facility. The Lord blessed us with that. But this is our fall festival. This is what we had 1,200 people in 2 hours come through our fall festival. And a lot of them showed up because they know what it's about. We've been doing it for years, but it's always been outside under a big tent, like a carnival. And with the wind and the rain of October, you know how that is, the muddiness. It's just garbagey, and you don't want to be out there. But this is our first year. We had so many people. It was double what we had the year before because we were outside. Make sure your event appeals to kids. All right, you don't want to do stuff that when they walk by they go, whatever. Every game that we have in our fall festival, and I want to say every game gets used because they're games that I have approved. I have certified and said, yes, this is a game that I would love to play because I'm a game guy. I love to play games. And so I think to myself, would a kid like this game? Now there's some that a lot of people put out there that they think they're good, they're not. They're actually kind of lame after you play around with them a little bit. But a lot of the games, like we had a mechanical bull, and we had all these inflatables, and we had a big joust, a big fighting thing. What boy doesn't want to fight with a big pugil stick? And they all want to fight. And I had parents in that thing too. So these are games that the parents can get involved with. And we have a walking track. It's a 2-story building. And this thing is almost touching the roof, so the kids got to go up way up here and then come sliding down. So it was great for them. And then the mechanical bull, the inflatable mechanical bull, you know, that's ages 5 to 95. We had an 80-year-old woman get on it during that time. Yeah, an 80-year-old. She said, how old do you got to be? And I said, the guy told me 95 years old was the limit. She said, well, I'm in good shape then. I said, have at it. So she climbed on it. And now they didn't spin her like they spun me, but they spun her, and off she came, and she loved it. Laughed the whole time. Had a whole big crowd of people who piled around and laughing. Here's a big one, giving out prizes. Everybody loves a prize. I can't even imagine who doesn't like prizes, but make sure you have a prize at these events when you're advertising that everybody can be wowed by. At this event in particular, our fall festival, it's our Halloween alternative, the local businesses, I will go to them and I'll ask for donations. Now, I don't ask for money donations, I ask for like food donations like most of the restaurants. Pizza Hut gave me $500 worth of personal pan pizza coupons for free to give away. McDonald's gave me, I think, over $100 worth of little dollar McDonald's coupons to give away. And if they know who you are, because you're out there, they'd have no problem donating. Because their kids are coming to this thing anyway. So, and then you announce that they gave you this stuff. You plug them in there somewhere, and they appreciate you for that. But we also give away a 6-foot stocking full of candy and prizes, little games and stuff and toys. And you can find that stuff on the internet. You know, big stockings. They cost about $100. It's a little expensive, but look at the people that come to this thing. We had 1,200 people come through in 2 hours. 2 hours, in, out, and we were done. And when one of their kids has to pack the 6-foot tall stocking, and I'm 6'1", so it's 1 inch shorter than me, full of candy. Man, there's no way they're eating all that candy anyway. But we load it up, and a lot of the stuff we'll add our personal side. But throughout the event, we want them to be wowed by the prize they're going to win, so it's exciting for them. Have games that parents can get involved in. Like I said, all the parents can get on all these inflatables except maybe the moon bounce. That's just for little kids. But we do a gym night in February to kind of get the kids out of the house from where they're snowed in. And at the gym night, we have battle ball or dodgeball for some other folks. They didn't know what battle ball was in my first class, so I they were like, "What's battle ball?" Dodgeball. So, you know, what dad doesn't want to hit his son in the face with a gator skin ball? You know, I want to hit my son right in the face with it. You know, because he really lights me up. So, you know, parents, moms, I've had moms, grandparents, everybody will get involved. And of course, when the kids find out they're going against the adults, they're crazy. They want it. So you want to have games that parents can get involved in. Nothing too little, you know. And again, an event like this, some events that we do are not for preschoolers. I know that might sound bad, but we have stuff just for preschoolers as well. We don't turn them away. We just won't let them play in the bigger games like battle ball because they'll get hurt. Even a gator skin ball, if you know what I'm talking about, gator skin has that memory foam, so it doesn't hurt when you get hit with it. It hits you, and it's just a shot bag if you hit in the face. And then lastly, food. Who doesn't want to eat? We ate today, and I enjoyed it because I've been on a diet, and I had to quit my diet for this weekend because there was some yummy stuff. So while I was here, I had to quit it. But enjoy the fellowship while you eat. Here's where your church family can get involved because you don't just want children's workers at an event like this. You want to bring your whole church into it. You know, and we allow our church to come to everything we do. I don't care what it is. If it's gym night, Easter egg hunt, we invite everybody to come because we know that there's somebody out there that I cannot reach. I will not be able to talk to. It's just a fact. But somebody else can. And usually while they're sitting around eating, the church members will go along, kind of like the E-team did today or last night where they were praying with folks. They won't go up to them and interrupt while they're eating, but they'll just sit down and go, hey, you know, if they recognize them somewhere. Like, for instance, when Brooke saw me yesterday, she came up to me, you know, and that was neat because I hadn't seen Brooke in a while. But that's exactly how that works. I haven't seen Brooke in a while, so she and I can sit down and actually talk about things. If I'm out of church and Brooke is in church, guess what she can share with me? She can share with me church. Once she intrigues me enough to get to church, then God can work on me through the message. So, food is a great way. Hot dogs, chips, what other kind of food is there out in the world? You know what I'm saying? Pizza. We shouldn't eat anything else except that. But it's all going to kill us one day if we eat enough of it. But Dr. Pepper is the kids' favorite drink, I think. But what a great way to fellowship with family. Because there's a lot of these kids that come on our buses that don't get to eat food. They don't get 3 meals a day. And they come to something like this, man, their families they come because it's a meal for the whole family. And we've had that. So make your event fun and active. Let your event be memorable. In our fall festival, I'm picking on it a little bit more, we have a booth, a photo booth that we set up. This is my wife, and she dressed up like Jessie. We encourage all of our workers to dress up in something not spooky, but something that's clean. And so she dressed up like Jessie, and there was a little boy there that was dressed up like Woody. So they got to sit and got their picture so we can stick it on our church website. But we take these photos like this, and this is going to sound bad, but we trick them. They register, we got their name, we got their address, we got their email. We tell them, guess what? We're going to send this picture to you, which we do, we don't lie. We'll send this to you, all you got to do is leave us your address. Now what else along with the picture can I send? Tracts, information about upcoming events, what's going on in our church, phone numbers where they can call you and talk to you if they just need somebody to talk to. Again, if they come to your event, they've trusted you enough to come. Why not trust you just a little bit further? So this is a great way to reach out to them for a memorable moment. It's a good picture. And then of course this guy, he looks like he's real excited to be on the bull. And who ain't going to remember riding a mechanical bull? I'll never forget the first time that I rode a mechanical bull. The guy that does our inflatables, he came in and he said, "I'm going to let you ride this mechanical bull." And the guy that was doing it for the first time, he didn't do it right. And off I came, and the head came around and hit me in the leg. And I was the Incredible Hulk that year. And he gave me a severe hematoma. And this thing swelled out off my leg like that, and I was trying to do the event. Now this was 2 hours before the event started. And I couldn't leave because I was the one running it. So I had to limp around in agony for probably 4 hours at that point. Until after it was over, and then of course my pastor and everybody was trying to get me to go to the hospital, and I was like, man, I still got all this I got to do, man, you know. So eventually I went to the hospital. That's the first time I rode the bull. But now that was their fault, not the bull's fault. The guy didn't stop it, and I was hitting my leg. But memorable, yes, I've got a scar for life. But I'm the statistic. 1% out of like 10,000 people ever get hurt on the mechanical bull. Give out materials with your ministry, balloons, t-shirts. On your table, I threw some of our balloons. These balloons, I got these in a bag of thousands. I think it was like 4,000 or 5,000 balloons. I think I paid $50 for 5,000 balloons. All I did was send them my logo, and you can find this stuff on the internet. You just got to look. There's some cheap places. 5,000 balloons for $50, and they put my logo on there that we created through youth stuff, and there you go. You fill that with helium, stick it on your gazebos when you're out at the things. It's an automatic attractant, especially if you're giving them away for free. Never have them pay for anything. If you can get away with it, free. Give it away free, because that's what the Bible says. Freely you have received, freely give. And once you give freely, man, people are going to keep coming back. And our booths, usually during the festivals, we make popcorn, snow cones, and different things like that. Now, if we paid to have people buy it, then the health inspector would come in and she would grade us. But because we give it away for free, there's no constitution that says that she has to grade us. So in the state of Kentucky, she doesn't grade us because it's free. They can just come and take it as they please. Whereas if they're buying it, they're choosing to buy it, to pay for a service. So, but we give them clean popcorn anyway, so it's all healthy. But we give them popcorn. Who doesn't want to come and eat popcorn, man? If I could have my popcorn machine here today, they were using it today, but I would have burned it up if I'd have had it in here. We'd all been eating popcorn. So I brought candy instead. It didn't do too good. But we give away snow cones. We got snow cone machines. And those things are cheap. Walmart sells those things, I think like $25 when they finally come out. You can buy the industrial one, and it probably costs you about $200 or $300. Or you can just go to Walmart, buy the one that has a little roll cart thing on it. It takes a little bit longer, but it makes the same snow cone. So you give those things away for free. As long as they're willing to wait, you can give that away. And I promise you, when you give away free food, moths to a flame, they will come. And in order for them to get it, give them a tract. Want a free bag of popcorn? Here's a tract. Want a snow cone? Here's a tract. Come as many times as you want. Here's a tract. Also at our booth, we usually put the dunking booth. We have a guy that his dad owns a junkyard, And him and his friends, while they were working one day, found a big oil or a fuel tank. Cut it open and they made a dunking booth out of it. And I mean, they did it right. And then they gave it to us. And so we used it in everything. And it's like 9 feet tall. It's not like this thing that you sit in and you just go down from waist high. You're up 9 feet in the air when you drop. And you drop, it's like being in one of the big end of the swimming pool. And of course you get the big glass in front so everybody gets to see you down there swimming around. But it's neat. And I don't know if you've ever seen our dunking booths in camp. We usually package the camp with us. And we have that. We have a giant Plinko board we learned how to make off the internet. I don't know if you've seen Plinko on The Price is Right. I made a Plinko board, and it's probably about 7 feet long, and they have to climb up in the back of it and stand over top of it and drop the ball. If it lands in the number they say, then I give them a bunch of candy, and if it doesn't, I still give them a bunch of candy. They don't know. But then finally, weave a message into everything. All right, everything that you do, have a message to be involved in that, because we're not doing this just to entertain folks. We're doing this because there's a message that God wants them to hear. And if they can hear it by being attracted to the banners or the bulls or whatever that is that you're using, then you've done your job because you're planting seeds. So weave a message. It doesn't have to be long, but it does have to be there. You need it to be there because you're trying to reach kids for Christ. Lisa Webster, she was Blair on The Facts of Life. You remember that show? At a group publishing conference one year, I heard her say that not everything has to be lesson driven. You can just have events that are just about fellowship, so people will build a relationship with you so that you can bring them in and then share the gospel with them later when it's easier for them to learn or listen. Most important thing that I can tell you about our community events is that you follow up. You already get their names and addresses at different things. Like I said, you want a free bag of popcorn? Here's a track. How about, would you like to learn about more events? Can I get your name? Can I get your address? Can I get your email? Make phone calls. If they give you a number, they cared enough to give you their number, they trusted you that much, call them back. Let them know. Keep track of those numbers. Call and then invite them to other things. Invite them to your Sunday morning church, children's church, or to your regular church. Whatever you got to do to bring them in, that's what counts. And then, for goodness sakes, this is the hardest one. Go visit. I have a whole group of bus kids where we had 0 bus ministry at one time. Our church bus was the most worthless piece of property that we owned. It didn't go anywhere except to camp, and that was once a year. The other time it sat at the corner of the parking lot, unless we were going to take something somewhere. It didn't run out to pick up kids. It didn't run out to pick up anybody. We got tired of that, and so we started, it really was a burden on us. We started picking kids up, and we started going to their homes and these trailer parks and things like that. And I believe you when I tell you that some of these places are hard to visit. Ladies, you should never go anywhere on a visit by yourself. Take a guy with you to some of these places because it's a great deterrent. Guys, you should never go anywhere on your own. Have your kids with you or your wife or somebody to go with you so that you're accountable, so that the devil don't get you like that. One of the places I visited, one of our kids, well, actually she's got 3 kids, but she was a prostitute at the time in our county. And I would go to visit her, but I would take my kid with me, or I would take my wife with me, or somebody. I always had somebody accountable with me, so that then nothing could ever be said. And I shared the gospel with her many times. Her kids are frequent, constant visitors of our church. She herself has progressed out of the lifestyle that she was in and trying to do something with her life now. She lives in a different place and it makes it easier. But I promise you, you don't have to watch TV to see a little kid on the TV rummaging through a garbage pit in South Africa. That stuff is a block away from my house. That stuff's a block away from everybody's house. I mean, and I'm not picking on trailer parks because I know some people live in them, but there are some places, especially in some of the trailer parks in our county, they're horrible. And there's literally one a block away from my house where people have been shot and killed. There's drugs that go on there, and it's right in the center of Mount Vernon, just behind the courthouse, if you can believe that. And there's kids in those parks that we pick up for church. They're there, and when I go to visit them, their trailers are so bad, or their homes are so bad, There's cockroaches that'll be crawling on the wall, and I am not a bug guy. You know, I took a shower with a spider this morning. It wasn't pleasant, but he paid the price for stepping in my shower. But some of these places I visited will have their trash will be piled up in the kitchen because their dumpster their dumpster ran out. They didn't pay their dumpster fee and they couldn't dump their trash, so they decided to keep it in their kitchen. And their animals with fleas all over. It's bad, and the kids are happy and content with that. And after so many visits, it's apparent that I can, where they trust me enough where I can keep coming back, that I can say to them, and I've had said this to them, many parents, do you want your kids to grow up to be like you? What do you think their answer is? No. Every time it's no. Because they don't want their kids to grow up to be like them. They don't want their kids to grow up in that kind of environment. If they can do something about it. Well, they can. But they need help. This is where we come in. We go and visit. That's the first thing. Once they know who you are, then they will trust you. Once they start trusting you, they'll believe what you're saying. And if you're showing the example, and you show them that you love them and you really mean it, then you'll get them in church. And almost every single family, I want to say 95% of our families that we've witnessed to, even off of our bus routes, where they've come from these kind of places, almost every one of them have progressed out of that. And they started coming to church, and their kids are all saved. Now we're working on them, because some of them are a little set in their ways. They don't understand anything about Jesus Christ. They heard it when they were a kid, and then they dumped it along the way when they got away from it. So it's very important that you follow up. Your resource page, I did this for you guys because, at most of the conferences I've been to, a lot of times people like to know, where did you get this banner? Well, I got it from Youth Stuff. It was a little pricey and I found somewhere different later on. But Youth Stuff is a Christian company that does t-shirts and stuff for camps and for different things like that. I think they charge about $9 or $10 a t-shirt. But they do charge you an art fee because they will draw whatever you tell them. They'll put it on you stick figure it. They'll have their artist work on it. They'll send it to you. If you like it, then they'll stick it on a t-shirt. They did this for us. We modeled this after the KFC logo that you will see at the KFC restaurants. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted kids to think about, even when they're out on the road, they see a KFC, guess what? They're going to think about Kids for Christ. And they'll think about chicken too, probably if they're hungry enough. But we want it. So most of the t-shirts that we used to print up were, I went into their store, I went in their restaurant, and whatever their workers were wearing, I went in and I said, well, I like that. So then they had like a white circle with the Colonel's face in it. I took a white circle, put a cross in it, put KFC underneath of it like they did. And then we started putting verses in with our stuff. So once people started seeing this stuff, they made fun of it for a while, but then they saw it. They saw it in parades. They saw it on our multimedia, with our social networking, with our website at BibleBaptist.org. And then people just started getting into it. Stumps, Party, and Prom. If you're making a float for a parade, one of the best magazines. Girls, have you ever heard of the Stumps? My wife, she was all in that. Stumps is... It's all kinds of, it's like a magazine that thick of stuff, how to make floats, how to set up for a prom, background things, a lot of things that you need when you're doing like BBSs and stuff. They'll have that there. They're a little pricey, but they'll have it. Oriental trading, we've all heard of that one. That's not new to anybody. Shindigs is another kind of a prom type of party background type of thing. It's not, these two sites are not Christian based, so you will see all kinds of stuff on there, but they will have things that you can use. Gospel Light does a lot of, we do a lot of business with Gospel Light just because I like them a little bit more than I like Group. Group Publishing does some things, but Gospel Light, this is for me, and this is just for me. It goes out on a limb just a little bit further, and I like using a lot of their stuff. They had a real good Spy Kids BBS one year. It was awesome. I mean, I have not even yet touched the surface on a Vacation Bible School as good as that. Hands-On Originals. If you're from Kentucky, Hands-On Originals makes almost every one of the UK t-shirts. But they're a Christian company. They make Christian t-shirts. I didn't know that until I seen them at a children's conference I was at in Nashville. But they They do all this kind of work. They do banners, they do cups, they will logo anything, and all of their artwork is free. You just have to pay for their t-shirts and their shipping. Their t-shirts are about $7 to $8 a piece. They're actually a little cheaper. And they did all of our t-shirts that had our Nike, it's not a Nike swoosh, it's a check mark we made instead of the swoosh, because we didn't want to infringe on anybody. And then ZenBasketball.com, that scoreboard I was telling you about, right there it is, that's the website for that. You can use that for anything. You don't have to use that for basketball. You can use that in your classroom. You can use that in your open assembly. You can use that for any kind of gym night that you do, or any kind of game that you do. And that's some of that right there. And that's how we reach out to our community. We start in the month of February. January is an off month for us, and we go for February to December. We have an activity each month. And it's not just an activity just for our church, because we like to share. We want to share it with the community. In February, we reach out to the school system. Believe it or not, you can get in the school system. There are laws, and people get kind of scared about this, where you can't share the gospel in schools. Well, you can. You can share the gospel because they want kids to learn about living a better life, so you can teach about that. You can come in during their free time. They have a free time group days, and you can have a Christian group. We do Valentine stuff where we take it to the schools, and we do all kinds of different things with them. So I guess it's just whatever you're thinking about doing, whenever you're moving into doing an event. How well do you want to advertise, or how well you're going to put it out there? So the big question is, and this is why I put this on the front of your packet, is: are you going to be a doer or just a hearer? Or you can put feet to it. As soon as you get back, you can start taking your ideas and making them explosive ideas. So, does anybody have any questions?
I heard you had a movie night.
We do. We have
outside.
We call it Friday Night Flick. This is one of this is my movie screen right here we use. So we take. I have an outdoor projector. It's an older one. I don't use the one in here because it costs a lot more. But I have an older projector. We do a Friday Night Flick. We charge nobody anything. Free popcorn, free pop. We advertise it. We do it once a month during the summer because of so many other activities we have. But you will get, especially if you do this in somebody's community, if you do it at somebody's house and just invite their whole community to come in. I've done that before too. Man, you'll have a lot of people just say, bring your own snacks. We're going to show them. And we take something like Facing the Giants, or something that's more kid stuff. We'll even show Penguins of Madagascar if we have to. That's who we compete with. And then I'll have a lesson afterwards about the Penguins of Madagascar. You can make anything into a lesson. Yeah. Anybody else? All right. Thank you all.